The reason that we're doing this is so that when students come into the class later on and they don't know what the class is all about, and I don't have time to tell them, sit down for 30, 20 minutes or so and explain the whole process, we can just take a look at it. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? So welcome. Today I want to explain to you about the 3-act story structure and about the hero's journey. Both of these are as old as humankind itself. The other day, we didn't see it here, but the other class we were watching a thing called Darmok with Star Trek, where they were telling a story all the way back to the Epic of Gilgamesh 5,000 years ago, and it was the same kind of story structure. So we as humans have always had this story structure that we like to hear stories about. And there always has to be conflict and adventure and those kind of things, because nobody wants to watch a movie where you wake up in the morning, get dressed, have breakfast, go to school, hang out with your friends. After school, you skateboard a little bit, play some video games, have dinner, and go to bed. That's not a very exciting movie. We want to see something happen to somebody. All right? So that's what the 3-act story structure in the hero's journey is all about. So let's take a look at that, and we'll talk about that. When you go into a theater to watch a movie for the first time and you haven't seen it before, you really don't know what the movie is going to be all about. You might have seen some trailers for it. Your friends might have told you. You might know who the main actors are. You might know that it takes place in space or ancient Rome or wherever it takes place. But you don't really know too much about it. And that's called kind of like you have what's called a tabula rasa. Tabula rasa is a Latin word, which means if you think about it, I'll bet you could even decode it. What is tabula? What word in English kind of sounds like tabula? Tablet. He knows that, so that's cool. So yeah, a tablet, like a writing tablet, and rasa? Erase, right? So tabula rasa is like a blank slate, a tablet that's been erased. And so that's like your mind. You're open to whatever is going to happen. You don't know. So the first 10 to 15 minutes or so of any movie is called the exposition. The exposition is that part of the movie where you're getting to be introduced to the hero and to the world that the hero lives in. Now, there's no law that says this is how you make a movie or this is how you write a story or else you're going to get fined or something like that. That's just the way it goes. That's the way it is. So as an artist, you have the right to, it's called artistic license. You can change that around however you want. If you fiddle with it too much, the audience isn't going to recognize it and they're going to be freaked out like, whoa. That doesn't make sense to me because we as humans are used to seeing stories told in one particular way. So the first 10 or 15 minutes, we get introduced usually to the protagonist. That can be either a guy or a girl. And we get to know what it's like in that person's world. We call that the village with quotation marks because it could be like the Shire in Lord of the Rings, or it could be a spaceship, or it could be an ancient someplace or another, or it could be Los Angeles today, but we use the word the village, the home, home base kind of. So we get to meet the hero in his or her surroundings for about the first 10 minutes. Then something is going to happen, because if the whole movie was this person just doing what they do all day long, there's no movie there, So something is going to happen to the hero that's going to send them on a journey. Usually we'll get to see what the problem is. The hero has a problem, and we get to kind of notice what that problem is. It might be that they're Tootsie. If you guys remember, we watched Tootsie. The whole thing at the beginning was he was a womanizer, and he took advantage of women. He didn't think about what it was like to be a woman. He just thought about, they're there to be, whatever I want to do with them. And so over the course of the movie, as he becomes a woman, by the end of the movie, his big line is, I'm a much better man now than I was before because I was a woman. Because now he can understand a woman's point of view, which most guys can't, and most girls can't understand a guy's point of view. That's why they got that whole men are from Mars and girls are from Venus kind of thing, or women are from Venus. So the hero needs to have something. He has to learn something. And so something is going to happen that's going to take him on this journey. That is called the inciting incident. All right? 10, 15 minutes into a movie, depending on the length of the movie. By the way, how long is a typical movie? 90 to 120. So an hour and a half to 2 hours long. When you're reading a script, how long is one page of a script? about 1 minute. 1 page, 1 minute. So a 90-page script is about a 90-page movie. That's how they judge it. So if they look at, somebody looks at it and they say, oh, you've got a 400-page script? Thanks. You know, there's no way we're going to even look at that. They'll look at it and they'll say, the last page, if it's over 120, they'll say, come back when you got 120. You know, it's very strict, or come back when you got 91 or 90. So it's very strict. Now, if you've already made movies, then you want to make Titanic, you know, you're James Cameron, you want to make Titanic and you got the money, then sure, make a 4-hour movie or 3-hour movie. But typically, 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So the inciting incident occurs 10 to 15 minutes in. Usually what happens, not all the time, but often what will happen is that the hero will be given an opportunity to go on this adventure. Sometimes the hero refuses. What's that called? Does anybody remember? When the hero refuses the call to adventure.
It's called, I don't feel like it.
Kind of. It's called the refusal.
Oh.
The refusal of the call. Right? No, I can't do that like Frodo. I'm just a hobbit. How, you want me to go save the world? I can't do that. I'm just a hobbit. What are you talking about? And so they'll refuse. Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, she starts off, the inciting incident is when Elvira Gulch takes her dog away, and then the dog comes back. What does Dorothy say? Do you remember?
We'll run away.
Let's run away. Because Elvira's going to come back and get the dog, let's run away. So they run away, but then when she meets Professor Marvel, he says, you know, your aunt is sick, and so she said, refusal of the call. Oh, forget it, I'm going home to be with Aunt Em. So she goes home. Then something will happen that will force the hero to go on that journey. In this case, she gets caught up in the tornado. In Star Wars, remember when Obi-Wan Kenobi tells Luke Skywalker, he says, you're a Jedi, your father was a Jedi, you need to go with me to Dagobah, we've got this mission to do. And do you remember what his response was? I can't do that. I'm just a farm boy. I've got school in the fall. I've got to bring in the crops. I can't go off and do that. What are you talking about? And then he finds out that stormtroopers have gone to the ranch, the farm, and he rushes home and finds out that his aunt and uncle are, you know, crispy toast, and they've both been killed, and the house has been destroyed. And so now he's mad, and he's got no place to go, and so then he goes with Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's the inciting incident in Star Wars. He goes off with Obi-Wan to save the universe. All right? So then the inciting incident happens, and that puts us into kind of Act 1. There's usually 3 acts in a movie, Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. Act 1, once the inciting incident happens, about halfway through Act 1, then that's called the defining part of Act 1. Because now the hero has a mission, and we have to kind of say, what is it? What is it for Dorothy? Once she gets to Oz, right away her mission is?
Get back home.
Get back home. Whatever that takes, she wants to get back to Kansas. Right? And so she meets the Munchkins and all that stuff. All right, so then about 30 to 40 minutes into the movie, depending on the length of the movie, then we'll reach the end of Act 1. There might be a little bit of a resolution, but not much. And then it goes on into Act 2, and that's called Rising Action. This is the part of the movie where you have all of the character development. In Wizard of Oz, that's where we meet the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man. In other movies, you know, in Star Wars, that's where you meet Han Solo and Chewbacca and all of those kind of things. So it's character development, it's more conflict, they have to go on these adventures, you know, roadblocks are put up, and those kinds of things. And then at the end of Act 2, about 60 minutes to 80 minutes into a typical movie, at the end of Act 2, something happens to the hero that usually knocks him on the ground, kind of literally or figuratively, where they're saying, sometimes you'll actually hear them say the words, I can't do this. This is too much for me. Why was I chosen for this? You know, and they can't do it, and they're about to give up, just on the verge of giving up. And then something happens called, the Greeks called it the machina ex deus, which means, well, it's a Latin word, but it comes from Greek tragedies and stuff, or Greek plays. And it means the machine of the gods, which means that the gods are going to come in and pick you up, whether that's the friend gives you a helping hand, something happens to change the situation. Something will happen right when the hero's about to give up. Something will happen that will set them on the course for Act 3, which is the resolution, building up toward the climax. The climax is the end of the movie where the hero